back. WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. Happy New Year to everyone out there celebrating. I'm not so sure for the Ravens that the turn of the year will be any better than the last turn of the month has been. This guy and I have gotten to know each other over the last decade and a half through football and money and investing and politics and conversations and travel and the Ohio State University. We welcome Leonard Raskin back onto the program. I'm wearing the shirt today. At some point, I'm going to change up my view when I move from downtown and find new suburban vistas out there for you, Leonard. But boy, this Ravens thing, we like talking about it and beginning with it, but when they haven't won in a month, this is really piled up, and it's weird, right? At the holidays, beginning of the year, when you feel like you were into this and onto something, and now it's sort of all imploded.
Yeah, it's not a Merry Christmas or a Happy New Year for our Purple Boys. They didn't look real good. Now, look, I get it. It's amazing to me how the broadcast, the national media, they all had their glory talking about how Joe Burrow destroyed the Ravens and the record number of yards he threw for, and 2 games he slaughtered them, and how great he is. Put him in the Hall of Fame, for God's sakes. And I said, how come nobody's saying they're down 35 players?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe
the active,
one thing
isn't the active 48? Is the active 48 or
53?
53. They have 53, right? But I heard somewhere this weekend something about 48. I didn't know what the 48 meant, but something about the number of people you have to field the team or something. And I'm thinking, okay, we're down 33 out of 53, and we're supposed to field 22. I'm confused at why it's such a big deal. I mean, Joe Burrow could have played your Dundalk squad on Sunday, and maybe they'd have put up a better
46,
fight.
It's 46 active on game day and 53 on the roster. And
okay, that's
the developmental
so
squad. But
so they had 33 down. 33 down.
Well, the issue would be, where does the league step in and make it Tuesday Night Football the way they did for the Browns 2 weeks ago and for other teams? And the Lamar injury sort of factors into this, and whether it's a bone bruise or, whether it's a sprain or whatever, and the Ravens want to be hush-hush about all of this. But I think in the aftermath, I don't know that a day or two would help the Ravens.
No,
but
I don't think it would have made a darn bit of difference.
Yeah,
I don't think it would have made any difference. We got no defense back there.
But some teams are getting some leniency, from the league on scheduling at a point where they were very, very adamant. It's kind of like the CDC this week. 10 days, no, 5 days, no, we'll change our minds. And
what the heck?
The league has gone along with that too.
Take a test on Tuesday, play on Thursday. We don't care. I mean, these guys are top shape athletes. My thing is this. I don't care if they test positive. I don't care if they were around somebody who tested positive. It's all a crock. I mean, unless you're sick, you should be playing football. And the league should say, unless you're sick, you can play football. Who cares? I mean, a positive test is so irrelevant these days for most people, certainly young, healthy people.
Well, I mean, if you've been vaccinated 3 times, that's different than being Lamar Jackson or being Carson Wentz when you're unvaccinated. I think any doctor that has treated these people, because those are the people I listen to, Leonard. I listen to the people that are treating people in the hospitals.
So if a doctor says you've been vaxxed 2 times or maybe 3 times and you get a positive test, go play. Who cares? Unless you're sick. Look, when I was a kid and I got sick, got a flu, got a cold, got a fever, Mom said you had to be fever-free for a day before you went to school. And so she kept us home for a day or 2. Okay, so you're a football player, 2021. If you've got a sniffle and you got a little throat thing and you don't have a fever, you're not sick, you're not dying, play football. I mean, it's such a bunch of bunk. To me, it's garbage. Let these guys play. They're 20-something massively healthy athletes. Now, I got it. Some guys that haven't been vaxxed, or a couple guys said, hey, this thing hit me. I was sick. Well, then the NFL Players Association has to say, if you got the sick, you stay the home. and You field who you need to field. And then beyond that, it's football. But for us, if I remember correctly, 23 guys are on the IR, has nothing to do with COVID.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean the
we ain't got
question
a
they
back
should
end.
have here is how players are getting injured for the year, and
Oh yeah,
and that's certainly
yeah,
something for the organization that on just the metrics alone on that they're going to have to answer that. Now that being said, I can pull my phone up. I have my 2 tickets for the Rams and for the Steelers. The last 4 tickets I'm ever going to be purchasing per Chad Steele and my
yeah.
wife and moving to the suburbs. The Roethlisberger game is more interesting to me than any of this because this will probably be the end of his career. Like,
Last game he
and
ever plays.
yeah, and on a on a basis of what we've been through as a franchise. I mean, whether it's Jerome Bettis and Bill Cowher and Hines Ward and guys that are departed, right? But
Yep.
this guy's still a part of the Ray Lewis thing, certainly a part of the Brian Billick thing, a part of the John Ogden thing, right? That he's still a part of this and this rivalry. So for me, next week's going to be kind of special. I want to be there to see Roethlisberger play the last game against the Ravens. I think it's monumental. We won't see a whole lot of that in the next 25 years. Guys staying with the franchise 20 years, that's our rival. Even though we root against them and pull against them, I want to see him stand upright and come out and play for 4 quarters next Sunday.
Yeah, I want to see Terrell Suggs come out and pile drive him one last time. That's a
well,
picture.
Terrell's done now. You have to maybe settle. Tyus Bowser's in the COVID
No,
protocol, so you might not see
Suggs.
that.
I want Suggs to dress up for the pregame and run over and give him a slam.
Well, down at Amici's, I would go to Amici's, and they had that picture, that famous picture
It's the greatest.
of Ray with his knee on Roethlisberger and steam
I have it on the
coming.
wall. I have it on the wall. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful picture.
Well, that's all the
I
more
bought it
reason
at,
that Ben Roethlisberger's on your wall, your home.
Yeah, I bought it at the Ed Block Courage Awards at a charity auction 100 years ago or whatever it was. Yeah, that's a classic. Just a classic.
Stands the test of time. Hey, end of the year,
no
I want to talk a little money with you, but before we get back into football or any COVID or any of the other stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
End of the year money. You gave some advice last week, just up against it again. Maybe give a little bit more of that again because it's good for people to hear. And I had Dennis Kolatzis on from Coons Ford this week. And he said he's getting a lot of people coming out to Coons Ford end of the year, small business, so people like me. Saying I'm going to put a vehicle in the corporate name because I use it for corporate things, that there are things a guy like me, not just a regular, I work for someone and I'm going to put money away, but if you're a small business owner, there's things people like me aren't looking past maybe.
Yeah, well, the car thing, it's truck thing. It's a heavy vehicle thing.
Okay.
If your vehicle is a certain heavy, there's rules about, and you're in business and use the vehicle in the business, there are rules about whether or not you depreciate that vehicle over a 5-year period. So you write off the useful life of that vehicle over a period of time, or whether you get to deduct the purchase price in 1 year. And that's a pretty big deduction. You buy a $60,000 heavy Bronco or SUV or truck, F-150, 350, whatever it may be, the Ford stuff, and you buy a heavy truck, you can write off $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 against your taxes, against your income. Reduce your taxes. If you're in a top tax bracket, that's $15,000, $20,000 of tax savings. So year end, you just have to have that thing on the road 12/31, and if you do, you get a whole year's worth of taking that thing as a deduction. That's pretty valuable. So from a vehicle standpoint, that's one. We talked about Roth IRA conversions. That's another one. If you're in a low tax bracket, this is a low tax bracket play. You think you're going to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement. You want to convert an IRA to a Roth IRA, pay the tax now, put that in a Roth IRA, and you never pay taxes again as it grows. And when you take it out, it's all tax-free. It's always good to get money from future taxable because you don't know what the tax rate's going to be to future tax-free. Nothing better than tax-free. We love tax-free. The other thing is charitable deductions. You can still make a charitable deduction before the end of the year. If you don't itemize, you get to write off $300. If you're a married couple, $600. If you itemize, just throw it on your Schedule A. You can write off as much as you want. This year, a little quirk, you can write off 100% of your income. So if you make $500,000 and you're inclined to give $500,000 to charity this year, you can have no income for tax purposes. So if you're going to make a charitable deduction, you got a couple days left. Today, tomorrow, get that thing off to charity. Maryland's got a unique little quirk. We haven't talked about this one. Maryland's got a unique quirk, for everybody across the country. When Trump passed the tax law, one of the things he did was they got rid of what's called the SALT deduction, state and local taxes. So you pay state and local property tax, you pay state and local income tax. Let's say those two numbers combined for 12,000 or 120,000. The law says you can only write off 10,000. Doesn't matter how much you paid, you can only deduct 10. Maryland had an interesting little quirk in the law that they passed to try to help people here with this. And if you own a business and your business pays your state personal income taxes, you can deduct them at the business level. When you deduct taxes at the business level, you don't have as much profit. When you don't have as much profit, you save federal taxes. It's the same as being able to deduct your state taxes on your federal return without deducting them, because you get a pass through of your business income.
That's a nice penny, right?
It.
Literally.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Hey, this is something Maryland passed, and the I believe the Supreme Court has adjudicated, or it's been ruled that this is legal. So Maryland is one of the states that allows you to pay your personal state income tax through your business. That is amazing. If you got a $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 state tax bill because you make a lot of money, and this is who this deduction hurts. This isn't the little guy. This is now the guy or gal that's got big income and big business income. You pay your state income taxes through your business, and you get a nice write-off that otherwise you wouldn't get. And that's got to be done prior to year end. So that's a beautiful tax deduction.
Well, it's a nice penny for business owners, I guess, too, right? You have to be a business owner to
Absolutely.
take advantage of that.
And Maryland, you don't find a lot of those in Maryland. So we're a pretty heavy cost and regulated state for businesses. So this is one that's extremely valuable. If you're not aware of this and you're not doing this, you should get on the phone with your CPA, controller, business owner, your business, whoever helps you do your taxes.
Or call Leonard. Call Leonard. Go to Raskin Global.
Yeah, but the fact is, you got to have your accountant's got to be on board with this, and you got to get this done today, tomorrow. It's a beautiful deduction.
Leonard Raskin is here. He has beautiful deductions. Raskin Global. There's a whole university up there of education. We'll be getting back to non-virtual, like real networking stuff. I want to ask you this year in review because, literally, you were the first one to invite me out to do something this year that was a normal activity after COVID, which was you had a golf tournament for Mount Washington Pediatric. We're out there with Paula Bragg. I sat on the hole all day with Shirley. I had a beautiful day out there. Got to meet everybody. But that was sort of the first thing that I did this year. We both have had some turmoil in our, personal lives and my physical health and this and that. But at the end of the year, some thoughts of end of year. We try to measure things, and I'm sure you've saved your pennies, and you measure the spreadsheet and all that. But from a year standpoint, I think we all look at a personal thing and say, made it through another year. Had some hardships this year, and I couldn't sit up on October. You remember that, right? I couldn't stand.
Absolutely.
So I am very, very grateful to be, even though the Ravens haven't won in a month, I am finding some gratitude for having made it through another year.
Yeah, how weird is it? We're used to in Baltimore a winning December.
Always.
We win in December. We might not win in October, November, everyone, but we win in December. And we didn't win any in December, so that kind of sucks. But as far as life is concerned, I think one of the things that certainly points out, at least for me, they don't handle my paycheck and they don't deal with my health. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like you said, it's another year behind us. It's 2021. I'm looking at it going away. Unfortunately, in the spring, we had to put our dog to sleep. We had a almost 13-year-old collie that had a stroke and didn't make it, and that was a tragically sad incident in the Raskin household. And then late October, early November, my wife had some health issues and had some surgery going on there. And thank God, she's come through it. She's doing well. She's recovering, and every day a little better. And then, you got COVID swirling around you, and you got to get through that. And I think I read or heard Baltimore County, I got to wear a mask inside again everywhere. I don't know what that's about. I don't know that they know that these things work or don't work, but they're telling everybody you got to wear one again. So we're going into the new year just like, what is it this year? Same as the old year.
Well,
little Who action. And
yeah, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right?
yeah, right. Meet the new mask, same as the old mask. So we're going to do it again, and we'll get through it.
I'm 2 years
That's
into
all
this,
there
Leonard. If
is.
I would have known that the masks were going to be like 2 years in, I would have gotten better masks. I would have, put more effort into comfort, style, and I think at this point, yeah, I mean, design, all of that. Design, just for how it feels around the ears and how I can breathe in
Yeah,
it.
those mask manufacturers, boy, they came out of nowhere to making a fortune, huh? So that's companies that went from and there are people, just what you said, there are companies that man, they made it their mission to put out designer masks, and what is it, fanatics, I guess you can go and get team masks.
My
And
favorite one, though,
I've got
and I
an
showed
Ohio
my wife
State
this.
mask.
Listen, my favorite one, I was walking. I haven't flown a lot of places. I went to Chicago for the Ravens game about 6 weeks ago. It's the only time
Yep.
I've really been on a plane other than in September early on. So I'm in the airport. I'm in the Midway airport, and I look up, and a woman's got a mask on that is her face.
Yeah.
So the bottom
Yep.
part of the mask is actually her face. And I'm like, I got to get one of those. If this plague is going to last another month, I'm going to have my real face on my face instead of
I
this
think it was
pink thing I
I
got.
think I'm not 100% sure. I think Kurt Busch, NASCAR, I think he had his smiling face, and then when he put the mask on, he was just perpetually smiling in the mask. That's what he did.
Like the Joker,
And
like perma-smile.
right. And you just have to flow with the mask and with the smiling face. So yeah, there's a business model that went from nothing, hey, we make a couple masks, to wow, we are churning out masks. I'll tell you a funny story on this. So the little blue paper thing that's everybody's wearing, just the general mask. You could just buy
Right,
1,000 on Amazon for $1 or something. So we had a box of them, and over the course of the semester, because we had to go out to OSU, and we had to wear them everywhere, because on campus you have to wear them inside, and they kind of, you run out. So I said, okay, let's get another box. Go to Amazon, click the button, get a box. We didn't buy the same ones, bought a different box. This is the point. The box we have bought in the past, I don't know what it is, but they came, they're fine, they work, they hurt, whatever. We got this new box, every mask, and right on the front of the box, made in USA. It's like, all right, we're buying American. Put the first mask on. The little loop thing breaks around the ear. Every other one, at least out of the box, put it on, breaks. Can't wear it. I said, we bought made in the USA masks that break every time we put them on. Me, my wife, didn't matter. It's not like I have a big head. She put them on, stretches, boom, breaks.
Like a balloon.
I was in a doctor's
It's so
office.
frustrating too, because it just falls. I mean, I know exactly.
Just,
well, my wife was
so
in
I'm
the
in a
hospital for a
doctor's
year and a
office.
half, so I
Yeah.
wore these things for years. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a doctor's office, and bing, the little thing breaks. The doctor takes it and he staples it back together. Like a surgeon, staples it back together so I can put it back on my face. I'm like, does
I
it
was
really
using
matter?
Scotch tape, is what I was doing.
Yeah, hey, you got to do something. So back to the made in China masks. The made in USA mask just didn't cut it. But boy, there's copper masks. There's what's the guy, the bed guy, the My Pillow guy masks. You name it. There's somebody out there producing masks. It's crazy.
Leonard Raskin is here. He is producing Financial Winners and taking good care of people and folks' finances. You can find him at raskinglobal.com or somewhere near the Ohio State campus, or maybe the Ravens game here the next couple of weeks as well. Leonard, I hope you have a beautiful new year. I appreciate the partnership as always, all the great conversation and the wisdom, the crab cakes, all that stuff. I showed my Mike Bordick piece. I put that back out on Facebook the other day from Pappas. We're going to be taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour all over the region, again, presented by the Maryland Lottery into 2022. First crab cakes, nacho mamas in Canton in 2022. That's my first deal, and I'm gonna have a quesadilla or a quesadilla, as I like to call it, along with
There you go.
And
there
a hubcap margarita. Leonard, happy New Year. Onward and upward. Let's go beat the Rams. All right.
Absolutely. Let's make it a win. I didn't think Matthew Stafford was all that, except he'll maybe be all that against our defense.
Well, we got guys coming back from COVID this week, so I mean, Luke's trying to be optimistic around here. No, not Marlon
Humphrey.
No, not him.
Mr.
Peters. Gentry.
Mr. Peters.
Gentry's coming back. Come on now.
Who?
Jimmy Smith's coming back.
Did you even know who Westry was before last week? Have
Yes.
you ever heard that name?
Well,
you know these people.
Yes, because my dude Luke talks about them in August when they're the ninth string guy that you hope you never hear from in December.
Right,
Except this
right.
year, things like Westery and Stevens and and names, draft names have
And
been coming
they
through.
threw this. I don't. Who was the
Seymour,
quarterback? Who the heck was our quarterback?
that was
Josh
Josh Johnson.
Johnson. Josh Johnson throws to number 16. I didn't even know that we had a 16. It
Leonard, the
was the
strangest
second
thing
catch.
about the whole game
Oh
was
my
that he
goodness.
gave us a chance to win. If the
He played a good
secondary
game.
would have been
Oh
even
my
somewhat
God.
decent, it would have been a game, right?
He played a good game at quarterback. I mean, you can slot a piece in there and play quarterback. I told you, man, I think Lamar's has hurt himself out of a $300 billion, whatever.
Lamar's going to get paid. I have no doubt about Lamar getting paid.
I hope so. I hope he
All right.
comes back and can run around and have that Ronnie Stanley ankle going.
You've mentioned you want to just go through Dobbins, you want to go through Gus Edwards, you want to mention them all.
Oh man, somebody's got to figure out, like you said, somebody's got to figure out what's going on here.
Breaking my heart.
We need a couple wins. We need a couple wins. That's it.
When we have to cry about football, we laugh is what we do. Leonard Raskin
Hey,
here.
look, it's better than
Raskin
crying
Global.
about the rest of life.
Well, you know what? We'll have problems in 2022, and we'll work through them just the way the Ravens did. We'll bring in the third string if we have to. We'll test out of the COVID protocols. We'll make it to the field. Rams and the Steelers. Find Leonard out at Raskin Global, and of course at the front of BaltimorePositive.com.